Hey guys, what's up? Hope you all had a wonderful, a lovely Black Friday, killing and pillaging and destroying the stores just to buy a 40-inch flat screen TV for $50 or whatever you decided to buy. I hope you enjoyed it. It kind of reminds me of, well, along with Thanksgiving, how a lot of the Europeans just went around the world pillaging, destroying, and raping much of the world of its fine resources and its great artwork. And I think most recently we saw this in Black Panther when Eric Killmonger, whatever his last name was, went to a British museum kicking off the movie, and what was a really, really cool scene where he was at this British museum talking about the art collections there and how basically the Brits stole all of that art and they use it now to make money off of art from Africa, from countries in Africa that they went in and pillaged and destroyed and just raped of all of its culture and people and art and resources, and the list goes on and on. So, this was an interesting article that I saw, and of course, it would be France. I feel like France is always ahead of the game. I don't know what it is. I'm glad I took French in high school. I was probably on to something myself, but I love what the French are doing. France is actually going to return 26 works of art to Benin. Emmanuel Macron's office said on Friday as the French president took delivery of a report recommending the widespread return of cultural artifacts removed from Africa during the colonial era. The report by Senegalese economist Felwine Sarr and French art historian Benedicte Savoy, I'm guessing it's just Benedict Savoy, marks a potential milestone in the fight by African countries to recover works pillaged by Western explorers and colonizers. Macron became the first Western leader to initiate a comprehensive review of colonial loot after telling Burkinabe students last year that African heritage can't just be in European private collections and museums. And I would love to hear what other people think. Now, some people would say yes, to the victors go the spoils. But that's like in football or American football, aka soccer, or whatever you call it. That's like for sport. But when we're talking about people and their lives, does it still apply to the victor go the spoils, or should there be some sort of an expiration date? Because in my mind, yes, if you do destroy another people, you should get to keep their things. I mean, we've seen this in the Bible where over and over again, people come, they claim, they conquer, and all of a sudden it's theirs. But this is a lot different. This, you actually have people that are surviving through the decades and they want their stuff back. And I don't know. It's just kind of a tough thing. If you lose, I feel like you should lose, but at the same time, these are African people, so I feel a certain way to say maybe they should get their stuff back. I again, it's hard for me to say. That's why I would love to hear what other people have to say about this. Some 90% of Africa's cultural heritage is now believed to be in Europe, which is amazing. In Europe, the Quai Branly Museum in Paris alone holds some 70,000 African objects, as does London's British Museum, Savoy told Reuters earlier this year. Western museums have traditionally resisted appeals to return objects to their countries of origin, which they often argue lack necessary resources to care for the works. So that's a good roundabout way of making it seem like you're doing them a favor. Oh, if we were to return these works of art to Benin, they would just be looted and they would end up lost to the ages, or they would be destroyed. As you can see in this image, and I'm sure as you've been to many museums, it takes a lot of work to keep such works of art in pristine condition, especially when you're talking about things that could rust really easily. I mean, I'm pretty sure you might have stuff lying around the house that you like make sure that you take really good care of and make sure that no one touches it, like your fine china. You got to make sure that no one touches it. So yeah, Western museums have traditionally resisted these appeals, and earlier this week, London, earlier this week, the governor of Chile's Easter Island led a delegation to the British Museum to request the return of a prized sculpture. So that's also interesting. Now we're talking about Chile and South America. Western museums have traditionally resisted the appeal. The French report calls for legislation to ease the return of artifacts from museum collections, according to newspaper reports. It identified around 46,000 objects at the Musée du Quai Branly Museum in Paris that would qualify for repatriation. So France alone, well, it looks like one museum in France alone has 46,000 objects that could qualify for repatriation. That's a lot of objects, and that's a lot of money. That's a lot of dollars and cents that could be going back into the African countries from which they came, and could help to spur and generate those economies. It's almost like this. It's almost like animals that are in a zoo or in an aquarium or SeaWorld, and we just take them and we put them in these cages in these far-flung areas, and it's like, is it really right? To me, nah. At some point in the past, it was cool and all to have animals that you could see right up close, but now we're getting to a point where we're a lot smarter. We've gotten to a point as humans where I think we understand that that's not the way things should be. So we should return animals to the wild. We should return stolen objects back to their respective owners, and allow those people, and allow the animals that belong in the seas, and the animals that belong back in their lands, and the artwork that belongs back to its people, to go to where it belongs. So maybe that will be my final parting thought. Let's see what else this article has to say. We have sensed a real desire by the executive to act. Saar told Daily Liberation. I was skeptical at the beginning. I'm now convinced that this is not just a publicity stunt. The 26 artifacts to be returned to Benin from Quai Branly were seized in 1892 as the spoils of war. They are among some 5,000 works requested by the West African country. Several European museums agreed last month to lend works to a new museum in Benin City, Nigeria. British soldiers seized thousands of metal castings, including the iconic Benin bronzes from the Kingdom of Benin in 1897. But other governments such as Ethiopia and Greece have rejected the idea of loans, and I'm surprised that even Greece is a part of this. So they've rejected the idea of loans, saying they should not have to borrow back their own stolen property. So I would love to see what others have to say about this. The idea of loaning something that, okay, so yeah, I stole this from your house. First, I beat you up, so I am obviously stronger than you. I took it from your house. 20 years later, I feel bad about it. I feel like I should give it back to you. Let me loan it to you. That means you're paying me for something that I stole from you so that you can have it temporarily. That legitimately makes no sense to me. Just give it back. If you feel like you should give it back, then I believe that you should give it back. If you don't feel like you should give it back, then just go with the, hey, victor spoils. We got into a fight. I won. I was the superior person at the time. I won. If you want it back, fight me for it, bro. And that's my thought about it in that sense. But if you truly believe that these people, the people in Africa, should have their artwork back, then let me know what your thoughts are. Until then, I will see you all tomorrow. Hopefully everyone's still alive from Thanksgiving and Black Friday. And let's just all be nicer to each other in general. Peace out. Bye now. Bye.